Good evening and welcome to this little video reflection on the scriptures for the 28th Sunday of Ordinary Time coming up here the 11th of October. And pardon the headset, but it's helping me overcome a few sound issues that cropped up in my computer. We are in this gospel, we're invited into by Jesus telling the story of a king who invites everyone in the kingdom to the wedding feast of his son. And they all find reasons not to go. Well, 6 weeks ago, I was at my nephew's wedding over at St. Anthony's, and the pandemic made him send out, after his invitations, a DisInvitation. Kind of saying, hey, everybody, if you're worried about the pandemic or getting sick, don't feel I'll be disappointed if you stay away. You know, it's okay. Do what you need to be safe and well. And so a fair number didn't come, maybe half. It was still a nice wedding, but we missed many of that elderly generation who wisely said, no, we'll stay home for now. Well, it's a different story in the gospel. It's disinterest about the king, about the wedding, that keeps people away, not a pandemic. And at that time, a wedding banquet, kind of like you will hear in the first reading from Isaiah, a wedding banquet is an image of heaven. You can imagine in a place where there is lots of famine and hunger and poverty, that an endless buffet would be quite an image of everlasting life. You know, St. Paul uses wedding imagery that we use all the time. You know, he says in the letter to the Colossians, for a Christian man and woman, marriage becomes a sign of Christ's love for the church, that two become one that will never be broken, of Christ's love for us, for his bride, the church. It's an invitation to enjoy his life with him, but witness that joy, what self-giving love can do for us, how it brings new life and love into the world. Well, God, the King in that parable, is calling them to share in the joy and the married life, spousal love of Christ for us, his church. Why would they refuse the invitation? Why do we refuse the invitation to that spousal love of Christ for us? Isaiah offers one root cause in that first reading of the refusal. It is human pride. The banquet that Isaiah describes is held on the mountain of the Lord. You know, and that's the highest mountain, the life where God's values are valued highest. And that's where this banquet occurs. Humans throw up mountains of our own, of pride, of us needing to do things our way, that obscure where God is holding this feast, even now. Pope Francis speaks of some of those mountains of earthly pride that exclude and obscure in his new encyclical, Brothers and Sisters All, the kinds of things that leave people out of the banquet. Well, pride shows up most visibly in our unwillingness to embrace lots or limits for the sake of expanding the banquet seating. You know, we resist the sacrifices for loving together that reveal Christ has put rich wines and the choice food of life, the chance to meet Jesus as my table mate. What could be better? But he's put that in lots of places. My fears say, oh, Christ wouldn't be there, or if he was, it wouldn't be good for me to go there. That human pride brought all the suffering into the world that veils God's banquet. The veil God has torn away by the death and resurrection of Jesus. We can go into all kinds of situations of self-giving, self-sacrificing love, and the banquet of Christ will be there. He promises. His resurrection affirms that's true. The banquet table of life in Christ begins right here in this world where we sacrifice for love. We will find Jesus at table with us right there. The richest of banquets we could imagine. Well, in the second reading, St. Paul offers us the secret to living that banquet now, and to overcoming the pride that hides the mountain of the Lord's dwelling, where this banquet of life is going on. And he says, the secret is, whether I have a lot or a little, I can do all things in Jesus who strengthens me. Relying on Jesus being there when you don't think it's worth going to the banquet of life, for whatever reason. That setting of the banquet of life, if we rely on Jesus being there, we will find life and love. All we need to nourish what really matters in life will be there in abundance. The invitation stands from the King. Go to the banquet of self-giving love, and you will receive more than you can imagine. Enjoy praying with the scriptures this weekend, and hope to see you at church. Bye for now.